All right, guys. Every time or every once in a while in life, you come across a fork in the road where you got to make a tough decision, right? So let's throw out some tough decisions for you. If you had to choose between two things, Flash's speed or Hulk's strength, which would you take, JD? Go.
That's easy. Flash's speed for sure. You could actually use it and do stuff. Whereas what are you going to do with the Hulk strength?
Murder people.
Build things.
You can go on like huge backpacking trips and just jump across the whole place.
Yeah, that's true.
Wouldn't be bad, actually. I'd go to Antarctica, see what the hell's going on over there.
Right.
Well,
But
you
then
can do
again,
that with
if you're the
Flash.
Flash.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Caleb?
I don't see any benefits of the Hulk's powers.
Yeah, I got to go with JD's answer too. It's Flash. Just to be able to travel anywhere you want in the world in a second. Be amazing.
It's fair. All right. Pick too OP of a start. You know what? Well, how about this one? Have Batman's abilities, gadgets, and wealth, or Superman's abilities, but you're not allowed to monetize it whatsoever. Caleb, go.
Money? What do you mean, like make money off of
Can't
it?
make money off of your powers at all. Like, so you're going to be
OnlyFans.
Batman and you're going to be rich and everything, or you're going to be Superman, but you can't make any money that way. So
You just have to have like a regular ass job. You have to be Clark Kent, basically.
I guess you could
Yeah,
steal
you-
if you want. Be a scumbag Homelander Superman, but
I think I'm gonna take Batman, bro. Just cause, yeah, the billionaire Wayne Enterprise, and
comes
you
with
get
the mental trauma.
the mental trauma, but you
Yeah.
do get to be a vigilante at night. So I want that.
All right. JD?
Oh, if it comes, I was gonna say Batman, but if it comes with the mental trauma, I might have to go with Clark Kent. Have hella powers,
yeah.
can't monetize it, but you can still have nothing is ever going to be an issue. Like as far as I don't know, maybe chores or chopping wood or
They
doing
work on a
anything at
first
all.
date.
Chopping. What about a first date?
I don't know. You could use your Superman powers on a first date. Probably.
Yeah, you're not monetizing off of it.
As long as you're not monetizing, that's So you still got your psychic, dude. Batman is tortured.
You can't make a TikTok where you just like make
No.
impossible basketball shots.
You
and
can,
stuff.
but you can't collect the money.
Oh man.
All right. Speaking of trauma, JD, Batman's childhood trauma or Doctor Doom's never-ending need to prove himself superior? But it doesn't mean you have his intelligence. You would just have that urge.
Oh God. Well, with my intelligence, it wouldn't go very well. But let's see. I guess probably Doom, because at least you're confident. I mean, at least you're in a good place in your mind if you're so confident. But Bruce is tortured, man. He dresses like a bat and fights crime all night because of his trauma. So that's rough. I don't know if I want that.
Fair enough. Caleb?
Give me that trauma. Because some of the greatest people of all time, if you look at their childhoods, pretty messed up.
Ooh.
And they rose and they were, became very successful because of that, like Batman. So
Wow, what an answer. Okay. Jeez.
Except he's just depressed every story you ever read him in. So you're fucked.
right, yeah.
He's just broken inside.
No, it's just the trauma. I get to do what I want with after that.
Yeah, you start killing people when you're 50, so that'll help you, blow off some steam. Then Superman will attack you, though, so that'll suck.
You got that going for you. All right, last little hypothetical here. Live the full life, start to finish. You have to go through everything. Anakin's full life, including Darth Vader, or Obi-Wan's full life. All the trauma, all the loss, good and bad, but both of it. Lub, let's start with you. Who are you taking? Whose life you going to live out there?
Do I want the power?
Keep in mind, they both get caught on fire at some point in their life. So you got that either way. Anakin's a little worse.
Obi-Wan is fine the next episode, okay? So I don't know where his burns were. I guess they were under the skin, but he seemed fine.
It's back to...
I think even though, it would be dope to be Anakin, but I think I'm going to take Obi-Wan. He did live. I mean, I feel like the second half of his life is better than Anakin's. That's for sure.
Yeah.
At least he's just chilling, watching Luke, having a general good time. Depressed, obviously, but
I was going to say...
Anakin is just nonstop suffering with the person he hates the most, and he's trapped with him.
It's true. He gets some dopamine every time he gets a force choke somebody or something.
Yeah.
10 years in a cave, depressed, watching a little sand boy grow up. Well, that sound. A little Tatooine farm boy grow up in the sand out there. That seems like a long ass 10 years. I feel like that would feel like torture. I think I might rather torture the galaxy than do that. I don't know.
Hanging out with Qui-Gon?
He didn't even do it until after 10 years of desertion, and then he started talking with Qui-Gon a little bit, but he was out there a while.
He's got another 10.
Yeah, that's all right. All right. JD?
I'm going with Obi-Wan. Yeah, I mean, at least you got all your whole body. That's nice. You don't, you hadn't lost like everybody. Well, Obi-Wan kind of lost everybody too, but like the loves of his life, Mom, Padme, all he wants, and now he wants to bring Padme back to life with the Force. Like that's his whole thing. He's constantly tortured. And Obi-Wan just, working in the old sand pits for a while, does a nice honorable death at the end there by just ghosting everybody after getting smacked with a stick.
Mm-hmm.
But
he also worked in
that stick.
He worked in the fish market too.
He did. He cut some fish up.
A lot of good omega-3s. Yeah. Ask Vader how many omega-3s he's getting.
Well, Vader did get to have kids, though, and people do say that's a very fulfilling part of life. So that helps.
JD, can you confirm or deny this?
Sources have said.
I can't confirm or deny this because it's calibrating at the moment. Everything's calibrating.
Okay.
Fair.
All right, that's fair. Anybody, any of you guys got anything to throw out there?
Marry, fuck, kill.
Who?
Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, Robert Pattinson.
Oh man.
I need to hear you guys' answers.
Batman theme. Okay. Wow.
We have to say this. We have to.
I can answer first if you guys want.
You should.
Please.
You should break the ice. This is your idea.
Well, I think out of the three, you probably want to marry Robert Pattinson. He seems the most level-headed, not too crazy. Ben Affleck's had some relationships. He screwed him up. He's been with some pretty famous actresses, and he's divorced about all of them. And I think you want to fuck Christian Bale. I mean, look at American Psycho. He was pretty crazy in that one, right? Seems like a good time.
Look at the movie Dick, okay? He's not as cut there.
And then I'm sorry, I know you two won't like this, but you got to kill Ben Affleck. I mean, he seems pretty miserable now.
I was just going to say, honestly, put him out of his misery. Guy looks like he wants to die every time somebody's taking a picture of him.
Shit.
Okay.
I think I'm going with Caleb. I'm going with Caleb's answer. I think that was spot on. And you want to marry Robert Pattinson because he's the most feminine, and you could hang out with like a kind of. It's not as far away from being gay. So,
okay.
I'm actually starting to think it might be a good life. I might just actually convert.
How about this? Dave.
Yeah,
you're marrying their Batman characters and living in that Batman world.
Whoa! Well, this is totally throwing a chain up at me. I had some answers, and now I don't know what the hell I'm thinking of.
Okay, go with your original answer then.
I was going to kill Ben Affleck for sure.
Okay.
I fully agree. I think he's ready. No, I'm marrying Christian Bale, man. I feel like Robert Pattinson's just depressed. He'd be whining the whole time, talking about Kristen Stewart and all that stuff. Just garbage, really. I would like to spend my life with Christian Bale. He could be a different actor every day.
He's ready to settle down.
He might kill me, but that's a risk I'm willing to take.
I'll marry the one who like reads most comics or is like a Niner fan. Cause we'd be like, hey, let's go watch a game together. All right, cool, dude. You want a blowjob while you're at it? Like, yeah, cool. It's just hanging out with your dudes. So plus some gay activity. It's gotta be awesome. Read a couple comics.
Well, crap. I don't think Christian Bale watches the NFL. He's British, so God, no, he's not. What is he? He's foreign.
I'm pretty sure Affleck's like a Giants fan or something from New York.
Yeah, we can't hang out with that. No, he's from Boston. Big Boston guy. Yeah, Christian Bale's from England. All right. Anything else? We kill this in its tracks. All right, that was our hypothetical corner on Whysosidious, a nerd podcast. Hello, and welcome in to a very special episode of Whysosidious, a nerd podcast. I'm your host, David Cochran, and here with me tonight are my co-hosts Caleb Culver and Jeremy Darr. And tonight is a night for celebration, a night to reflect on our journey as a podcast and all of the wonderful fandom projects that have helped us become the nerds we are today. That's right, tonight is our official 100th episode. That's right, that is 100. And yes. Stop. Okay, stop out there. You guys are being annoying
please. Please hold your applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, you might be saying, but David, I'm looking at your podcast page right now, and it says you have over 150 episodes, you big, dumb idiot.
Liar.
What I would say is that's a little harsh, but you're right. But we do not number our episode series, such as Week in Geek, Novice Nerd, a few other special exceptions. So as far as numbers go, this is officially Road to Secret Wars. Thank you, Caleb. This is officially our number 100. Ring the cowbells. I'm not going to ask for applause again. You guys went on too long last time. You're cut off. So tonight, we're going to reflect on some of our favorite topics and episodes of our podcast journey so far before diving into our fandom lists. The lists themselves will consist of top 3 cameos in fandom, top 3 post-credit scenes, top 3 favorite action sequences, top 5 movies in fandom, top 5 Star Wars projects, page or screen, and top 5 characters in fandom. Now, if you're wondering why the word fandom wasn't attached to the favorite action sequences, it's only in fandom, so a little curveball there. But before we do that, as always, please go ahead and follow us on our socials at whysosidious pod on TikTok, IG, and X. But even more importantly, go subscribe to our YouTube, please. We have our full episodes being posted on there with video and all, so you can watch us, whatever we're doing on here.
Play with our lightsabers.
Yeah, lightsaber action. There you go. And thank you again, Caleb. So you can still get our expertly crafted shorts because we do post that on YouTube as well, while also getting our full episodes with our beautiful faces all in one place. So let's see if we can hit that big 100 YouTube subscribers and we'll go from there. We're at 98, so I'm thinking we have a chance.
Tell your moms.
You could be our 100th. If you are, we'll be thankful. All right. So before we get into the big lists, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on this journey. Wanted to hear what your guys' favorite project has been to cover since we started this. And then after that, maybe we'll give the newer listeners some good episodes to go check out along the way by sharing each of our top 3 most recommended episodes that people need to go listen to. Like, they have to go do it. So let's start off with our favorite thing we've gotten to cover since we've started. We've had a lot. We started with Obi-Wan Kenobi series, a bunch of other series, Boys Season 3, Stranger Things Season 4, Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, Andor, Mando, Ahsoka, Loki. That's not even all of them. And movies such as Love and Thunder and Quantumania, but also Wakanda Forever, and novels and all that stuff in between. I mean, we've covered a lot. We have, like I said, over 150 episodes in less than a year and a half. Like, that's a wild pace. We've been busting our asses, honestly. We've been putting stuff out there, So after all that long hours, all the times we've covered stuff, Caleb, what's been your absolute favorite topic thing that we've covered? Show, movie, whatever the case was, what is it?
I think I'm going to have to say House of the Dragon. Just because I never thought I'd be covering a Game of Thrones show, on a podcast before, I thought I'd only be texting about it with my friends or thinking about it, watching YouTube videos. So that's really cool to dive into Westeros, and the show was great at the same time. We all loved it, and I was blown away. Can't wait to cover the second season as well. So I think it's got to be hot D.
Straight up, I like it. I like the pick. Jeremy, what about you?
I am gonna have to go with the news of James Gunn taking the helms to DC. And then dropping that whole Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters announcement. That was definitely my favorite topic we covered because I'm so excited for this universe to happen. You got James Gunn, who cares so much about this stuff, is going to be the one putting it together. And like, we had the Superman, Batman, Swamp Thing, Green Lantern announcements coming out, like hitting the best spots, and it's under the best control And I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to this DCU. So that's the best topic we've covered, and that we continue to cover, and that we will continue to cover. Like, that's the news I'm looking for. I can't wait to see who's going to get cast as Batman. I can't wait to, see our first Superman trailer, who's cast as Damian. There's so many exciting things that is just pulling from such a rich source of storytelling, like all these comics and such great characters. There's so much potential here. And yeah, I can't wait to see what comes out next. Everything so far has looked phenomenal.
Dude, great answer, honestly. I didn't even consider that. Wasn't even on like a few of the ones I was kind of picking between, but it's a great answer, because you're right. It's totally going to be a major focal point as we're going forward. We got all that casting news, which was dope, which I'm sure we'll cover that going forward a bit, but we're getting a lot of big casting of Superman Legacy. I like it. It's got a lot of legs in it. So I kind of cheated, but Lub kind of just took my answer too. I took the double coverage, the Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, same weeks that we were covering it in that period there. Like, it was just so fulfilling for me. Like, we were busy. We were very busy recording, hosting, editing, which back then we were taking hours to edit a single episode, and we had 3 different shows at one point going. So we were working pretty damn hard during that point. But it was also fun to do that and put all that time in for me, because there was so much juicy stuff to get into during those 2 shows, but including Lord of the Rings, the fact that Lord of the Rings had a show, just like you said, Lub. I didn't think we'd be talking about a Game of Thrones series. I definitely didn't think I'd be talking about Lord of the Rings on a podcast, and a new series at that. So the fact that I got to do a little study guide of Lord of the Rings, break that down, and then we got to watch it play out the first time a new Lord of the Rings thing came out in years. It was dope. It was overwhelming. It was busy, but it was super fun. And those weeks were like every other day there was something exciting to get into or something like that. So it was a fun little streak there.
Busy. It was busy.
That it was. Speaking of busy, let's keep our listeners busy. That was an okay transition, I guess.
Really good.
So let's get into some recommendations for our listeners out there for stuff we have done. 3 episodes of ours that you would recommend most to new listeners. JD, you want to start?
All right. I'm starting with How the Force Can Fix the World, when we interviewed the author, Stephen Kent. Like, super strong episode that is about this book that compares like ideologies in Star Wars and how it can apply to our real world. So there's a lot of good politics talk, and just like society talk and how it relates to Star Wars. And of course, there's a bunch of Star Wars talk. So really good episode and a ton of fun. And that dude's super knowledgeable. So it's got a lot of good, juicy information in there.
Perfect.
Agreed.
Really good pick.
Then I'm going with top 5 Star Wars novels, because I think that one was not only like a ton of fun, but I think it's like different than a lot of things you could find on other podcasts or stuff. I don't see a lot of reviews of books in general, but just like going over the best Star Wars has to offer was a lot of fun. And we have a lot of knowledge on all these books and all that. And there's like, it's different storytelling than people are used to. So it's a lot of these way different Star Wars things that are just super fun to talk about. So many different scenarios and characters and stories. So it just felt different from doing a movie that everyone sees, everyone has an opinion about. Like, you don't see a lot of book opinions or like conversation for that matter. So, yeah.
Another great pick. Love it.
And then got the Sidious DC roadmap. Because again, it's different, it's unique. It shows us how we would kind of create the situation going in if we were building a DC. There's a bunch of like Batman movie ideas we throw out there. And then just like a bunch of movies that leading up to Justice League and how we would do that. And I thought that was so fun to put together and a lot of fun to listen to. It's very unique, very just kind of out there and just creative ideas flowing around. So Sidious DC roadmap.
Love it. That's a strong list right there. That's a strong list. I endorse all those picks. Lub, you got to live up to that one. What do you got?
Well, one of my picks is the DC roadmap. That was also one of my favorite episodes too. And yeah, just like you're talking about the Batman episodes, JD did the phase 1 of James Gunn's. It was that was
Yeah.
great with all
If
of
you
his
guys-
plots and stuff. He went into it.
Yeah, go check that out. JD went in on the phase 1. He created his own map for the new DCU.
With post-credit
it was
scenes.
dope. Yeah, definitely go check that out.
Stop it. Thank you. Check
And
it
then
out.
the ultimate Lord of the Rings episode. That was just so fun to go back and rewatch the trilogy, cover it, get ready for Rings of Power. And it would be kind of fun to do like the Dark Knight trilogy or like Avengers in the future somehow, you know, in the next break. Do like an ultimate Dark Knight trilogy.
Ultimate Daredevil. Oh,
yeah.
crazy.
Yep, it's happening.
It's happening.
Keep your eyes peeled.
And then last, We Can Geek. Like, it's more of a laid back news episode. Comes out pretty often. Kind of cheating on this answer, but I don't think that if you're just looking for something different, you know, not a coverage of a movie or a show.
Straight up.
Great episodes.
I'm sorry, my brain is broken. What was the second thing you said?
The ultimate Lord of the Rings.
There it is. How did I forget that? That was one of my favorite ones to put together there. All right, I like it. Well, I had both Sidious DC Roadmap and top 5 Star Wars novels in my top 5, but they didn't make it to my 3.
Oh.
Excuse me. So my number 1 actually, so I couldn't decide between this. I went with the box office draft. I was going to keep the comic book movie draft, but I just personally, I love trash talking, like you know, everybody kind of giving each other a hard time. But so we did a box office movie draft, and for me, it's a fun listen because it's not planned. Like, we have our list planned out, but it's still live reaction to what's going on. We were pretty loose in it, pretty laid back kind of episode to listen to. Some pretty funny trash talk in it, and we're still watching the box office competition pay off. So
it's hella close too.
It is. I know.
It's coming down to the final.
I thought I had it
for you
unlocked.
too. Yeah,
but the Marvel's making the lowest record in the MCU, and Lub and JD or what?
JD needs Aquaman 2, which is not probably going to do very well.
Yeah, you never know.
It's not going to do much.
Probably
You
never
better
know.
than the Marvels.
First one did $1 billion, but Captain Marvel did $1 billion too. Look how the Marvels
Right.
turned out.
And then it turned into the lowest grossing. Like, brutal. I was definitely. But yeah, anyway, so that was a fun episode to record, and it's still kind of going. We can check back in on that. My second one, agreed with JD, is How the Force Can Fix the World, because of how different of an episode it was from anything we've done. Stephen Kent, the author, he came on and we discussed the whole book. But like JD said, we got into politics. We got into so many different facets of life in the world today that we never really dive into at all on this show. But even just talk to like your friends about stuff, you don't always go into that. And so it was just very interesting, and he's very insightful. He's a political writer in Washington, so he's got some knowledge on the politics background of everything, and obviously Star Wars. So it was just fulfilling. It was a fulfilling thing to discuss, and I think it's a really interesting listen as well. And it's all tied together with Star Wars, you know, the politics, the personal struggles, all that stuff. It's all Star Wars tied in. And then we got to discuss Last Jedi and Indiana Jones at the end and kind of discuss that controversial stuff that was going on. So all in all, it was just a unique episode that I would suggest. And I almost went also, I cut the cities out. So a lot of podcasts have the city awards. They have their own kind of awards. I went with bottom 5 MCU movies, actually, as my third one, because it was the first time we ever got to talk about the original MCU movies that dropped, you know, as a podcast. Talk about
in
not
the bottom
expecting
5.
to talk about it. Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, most of them were in the bottom 5. Some recent ones too.
Yeah.
It was just the first time we really just got to have a
Right.
loose discussion about what we think about the MCU, which is, you know, one of the reasons we're such big nerds today. Like, let's be real. The MCU coming out and the success it had increased our nerddom for sure. So, and it's just fun to rag on stuff we have issues with. It was fun to rag on Love and Thunder, to get some frustrations out on those movies. So I think it's funny to listen to, but I think it's a satisfying listen to. Okay, gentlemen, audience, Louis, Feds, let's do this. Cameos come in all shapes and sizes, from a brief 5-second glimpse of a famous person to a multiple movie appearance who ends up being a main character. We've seen a lot of different cameos, mainly in the MCU and DCEU, but Star Wars and others as well. Well, tonight we are going to start off our lists by honoring a legend that really helped make everything we've seen in the MCU possible. So our first list will be the Stan Lee Award, top 3 cameos in fandom. So I think I'm going to start this one off. I'm going to jump the line on this one. We'll rock it out here. My first one, I'm going with X-Men First Class. Hugh Jackman's 5-second scene where he tells Magneto and Professor X to go fuck themselves during their mutant recruitment montage.
Oh shit,
bro! It's the perfect cameo. It doesn't take anything away from the movie. It doesn't slow the pace. Nothing. It's one scene, maybe 10 seconds, and it's one of the most iconic figures and fan favorites of the old X-Men movies being brought into the new X-Men movies. And the way he just tells them, like, it's just a work of art in a 10-second sequence. It's freaking amazing. My second one is coming from a movie called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So we had a few different cameos in this movie, with it being a multiversal story, to be expected. But the standout to me has to be the longtime fan cast of John Krasinski as Reed Richards. This makes my list because for me, it was a perfect casting for Reed that was never meant to be permanent. So it was always going to be a cameo, even if people had hopes for something more. He had said he didn't want to be permanent Reed Richards. He's a director. He's a writer. He doesn't want to commit to that with a Marvel contract. He wants to be free of that. So totally get it. Totally respect it. But as a cameo appearance, this was honestly just, for me, it was perfect. I'm a big John Krasinski fan as it is. The Office is amazing. But I never thought they would actually do it. And they listened to the fans and they said, you know what? Here's Reed Richards as John Krasinski, or John Krasinski as Reed Richards. You wanted it, you got it. It's not going to be permanent, but here you go. So I thought that was dope of the MCU to throw him in there. And I think that was the most excited I was in the whole movie. When he came through that portal there, like, I was stoked because I didn't have it spoiled yet for me. And he came out of that. Oh, I was stoked. So that's in there as well. And my third and final one, I got to represent to Mr. Stan Lee. We could have made a whole list of Stan Lee cameos, but I'm going with The Amazing Spider-Man. Favorite Stan Lee cameo, just because I love this action set piece that's happening between Spider-Man and the Lizard as they have this massive battle in the library, throwing tables. He almost gets killed like 2 or 3 times as Stan Lee's just got his headphones on as a janitor. So shout out Stan Lee for his cameo performances. So that is my list. What about you guys? Who wants to go first?
JD, go ahead.
Oh,
Well, I had Wolverine on my list too. That cameo.
Good
just
man.
so cool. Having the actor too, Hugh Jackman, being the one to show up. Just a little bit of connective tissue there for a Wolverine who had the most appearances in X-Men movies, like even his own X-Men movie, Origins. But yeah, just to tie the two kind of separate feeling movies together. All right, and then I got Falcon and Ant-Man.
nice.
That's funny.
It felt so comic booky, like in such a fun way that made perfect sense. They're just going to the Avengers compound to steal something, and of course somebody's there. So yeah, Falcon's there and stops him and gives us one of the classic little MCU fights between people who will be teams. People will be a part of the same team. So that was a lot of fun. And then, you know, it kind of just led into Ant-Man being a part of Civil War.
Yeah.
So really fun. And it got me, you know, it made the Ant-Man movie feel very connected to the MCU. And I didn't expect to see a cameo. So it was just fun. I'm not even a huge Falcon fan or an Ant-Man fan, but it was just, I think, coolest cameo for what it was doing.
I was gonna say, that's when you know it's a good cameo. If it sticks out to you like that and you don't even like either of those guys that much.
Right. And third place, I got Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy. Because that was sick. Didn't expect to see Thanos in this movie, a movie that was very separate from the MCU, but it happened to be connected in a huge way with the Infinity Stone, but then actually showing the next Avengers bad guy, the big Thanos, giving him some lines of dialogue, and he was terrifying in like a 30-second scene. It definitely felt like didn't want him to be the villain coming to Earth. Like, that's scary. So they did a good job with that, and that was just so exciting.
Bro, that was wild. Like, going into that movie, did you know Thanos was going to be in it? He wasn't in the trailers or anything, right?
No.
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. That's crazy that they did that. Like, can you imagine going into Quantumania not knowing Kang was in it or something? Like, I mean, I guess
ruin everything.
Thanos wasn't the main villain,
And
but
leaks.
still, he was in it, 3 or 4 scenes, and like you said, he was pretty intimidating. It was dope. All right. Good list. Caleb, what do you got?
I do have one that's similar, but it's a little different. I have the Illuminati as a whole in Multiverse of Madness.
Wow.
Just getting them, and then I mean they all die, but that was also pretty cool. But just the Illuminati.
All right.
And then J.K. Simmons. This is kind of a double one because it's the post-credit scene of Far From Home when he pops up as like the Alex Jones Daily Bugle controversial website, and I thought that's pretty funny.
Straight up.
But number one, I got Flash in Batman vs Superman when he comes back to warn Bruce about the future, which does tie in eventually.
Oh wait, no, my bad. I was thinking you were doing end credit scenes. I'm retarded. Continue.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not an end credit.
When he says, "Am I too soon?" Lois Lane's the key and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was really cool.
Huh?
But then if it's the Stan Lee Awards, a couple of my favorite Stan Lee ones are Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when he's talking to the Watchers, Infinity War when he's the bus driver. He says, "You kids ever seen a spaceship before?" And then Package for Tony Stank.
Yeah.
And then when you get the final one in Captain Marvel, when she just looks at him and like smiles and nods and he smiles. That was such a great ending for him. So, yeah.
I might have picked one of the worst Stanley cameos for himself.
That's okay.
He has actual like words and performances in other movies, but the Captain Marvel one was good. That was a nice little touching tribute to him. So gotta call that out. Those are some good lists. There's a ton of good cameos too left off. Like they was looking
Donald
through
Glover and Homecoming.
I almost had that on my list. I almost had a lot of them. We've got another list leading into something also pretty much dominated by the MCU and DCEU, and that is something that even other franchises like Fast and the Furious have even taken on, and that's the infamous post-credit scene. Except shout out to Ferris Bueller's Day Off, because I think that's the first time a post-credit scene has ever been done. So we'll call it the Ferris Bueller list. Top 3 post-credit scenes. Caleb, start us off.
So all mine are pretty OG Marvel. I don't know if you guys are on the same thing, but
I'm all over the place.
Okay. I got Thor. I think it's Thor 1 when Selvig is being controlled by Loki.
That's
and
a good
Nick Fury
one.
meets him in the underground, and you get the first shot of the Tesseract, and then you finally see Loki in the reflection.
Yeah,
so I guess that's worth a look. And then Selvig repeats it.
So good.
Him.
Yeah. Iron Man 1, Nick Fury. I mean, come on, you think you're the only superhero in the universe? I'm here to start the Avengers Initiative. Just classic.
Iconic.
And then my number one has to be Avengers 1, when you finally you see Thanos for the first time. And it's the guy, they they are unruly and therefore cannot be ruled. To challenge them is to court death. And of course, that knowing now that's like who Thanos is trying to impress the whole time in the comics is pretty cool too.
Oh,
and
the death line.
Yeah, and he looks
Court
back
death,
he looks back and smiles at the camera, and it's
I forgot about that. When they were kind of relatively new when that one draw. I mean, we had 5 or 6 MCU movies, I guess, by the point when we hit Avengers, but like I don't think we had news of him at all when that came about him being the future big bad. So the fact they already had that plan in works and everything, that was back in the day where those post credits were like groundbreaking. That was wild. Yeah. So JD, you said you're all over the place. I'm very curious what your list is for this. What do you got?
Venom 2, when the universe glitched and Venom's staring at the TV where Tom Holland is and licks the screen.
Okay.
I think that was the Carnage movie end credit scene, right?
It was, yeah.
And even though nothing came of that at the time, thinking that that's what was going to happen in the near future was one of the coolest feelings ever, to see Tom Hardy's Venom against Tom Holland's Spider-Man, like the perfect like contrast there with kind of the bad boy dude and Tom Holland's innocence. I think they would have clashed so well. So that was so exciting, and you just thought Venom was in the MCU. So yeah, nothing came of it, but as post-credit scenes go, that one was phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I got The Incredible Hulk. And again, nothing came of this, but when I was finished watching The Incredible Hulk, I was stoked. I love Hulk on the big screen. He's like Godzilla, just force of nature. So fun. Big Hulk fan. I loved the movie, saw it in theaters. And then Tony Stark just walks in and then talks to Ross about forming a team, like what we think is to take down the Hulk. So like an Iron Man just came off this amazing movie a character I didn't think I would love that much, but Iron Man just killed it in that movie. Such a cool character, RDJ, and to see him walk into that bar, yeah, that was really good. But nothing came of it.
Dope.
It sucks.
I know we got that little short, like, I don't remember what the name of it was. Something happened on the way to Thor's hammer or something else. I don't remember. There was a few different shorts in that early phase of the MCU, and they gave a background on that meeting between General Ross and Tony. I forget who was talking, but basically they were like, yeah, no, I sent Tony on purpose to piss Ross off. Like, that was the whole point of that. So they kind of address it as like a throwaway short, but yeah, it would have been cool to get something more.
Yeah, and that whole Incredible Hulk movie seems to be something Marvel like wants to forget, including the post-credit scene. Like nothing in that movie tied into the MCU. So it's like I think they said something about that publicly. Like, yeah, you can forget the Incredible Hulk actually. Yeah, but I mean, it's on Disney Plus. It's official, but yeah, whatever.
Screw them.
Would love to see that Hulk in the MCU though, and I like Ruffalo's Hulk. It's fine enough, or it was. But that Hulk in the MCU would be so sick.
What if we got a Secret Wars Edward Norton Hulk? I didn't even think about that being an option for a variant. That would be sick. I'm in.
And then I got Spider-Man Far From Home, the one Caleb just mentioned, because that was huge. Not only does Mysterio like frame him for killing him, but he gives out his Peter Parker name, which is just something he treasures in every single movie. It's so important that it doesn't get out to the public, and this just hits you with that boom. Everyone knows you're Peter Parker, and they think you're a murderer. And then J.J. Simmons coming back for that cameo. It's like, that was such a good end credit scene.
Yeah. And another classic F-bomb cut off halfway through, added to the MCU there with Tom Holland's reaction, but that was good. All right. And then, well, I share. Oh, yeah, go.
Well, just one that almost made it. I really like the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 Adam post-credit scene. That's definitely up there.
Oh, I totally forgot about that even happening. It was such a long gap, and yeah. All right, I like it. So I share one with Caleb, which is the Avengers. Seeing Thanos for the first time as he turns and smiles was just a wonderful feeling. Like I said, like we didn't know what was going on. Post-credit scenes were still relatively new, and that was just huge. My next one is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So we're coming out of an incredible movie, like on the heels of finishing this masterpiece, and we're treated the post-credit scene that has two characters in their own rundown psych ward looking rooms, one seemingly teleporting back and forth, the other one lifting blocks telekinetically with a red glow, and boom, we got Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver being brought into the MCU. And at that point, now obviously our minds are racing. They're mutants. Like, oh my God, wait, hold on. They're bringing mutants into the MCU. That's crazy. And I just remember being like hyped on that, like just mind running of like, what the hell's about to happen in the MCU? That's insane. Now, again, obviously the X-Men aspect didn't come from it, but watching that after that movie finished, it was just exciting, pure excitement. And
you see,
but yeah,
sorry, and you see that Hydra has the scepter too, and all this.
Oh,
stuff.
that's right.
I almost put that on mine too. That's a good one.
That's big. You got the Mind Stone and the twins both being shown in the post-credit scene. Yeah, it was dope. And my last one is another one where nothing came of it, but I was very excited upon watching it. And that was that after an underwhelming movie filled with goofy dialogue and plot points, Joss Whedon's Justice League finally ended, which, you know, was a reward in itself. But then we get Lex Luthor on his yacht dropping lines about forming a league of their own, foreshadowing the Injustice League or whatever he was plotting there. And these lines are aimed at freaking Deathstroke, played by Joe Manganiello, or I don't know what his last name is.
Manganiello or something.
Manganiello, there you go, not Mangiani.
Close.
It's Italian.
Fine.
In a dope looking outfit. Like the whole Deathstroke suit looked so clean, the eye patch, everything. And I just got so stoked there. Like instantly hope came back to the DCEU after a terrible output from the movie. And then you see that and it's like, okay, all right, maybe that was just a bump in the road. Maybe they got something going here. They didn't. But at the time, we had a lot of hope and excitement. So, yeah, had to throw a DC one in there.
That's such a good pick. I'm kind of jealous of that one. I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
I do have one more because I didn't want to steal anyone's thunder.
Yeah.
Wakanda Forever meeting T'Challa's son.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the emotional factor.
That's another level, right? That wasn't excitement.
Right.
That was just pure, oh my God, my
Yeah.
heart just got wrenched out of my chest.
Right. But it
Yeah.
has to be mentioned, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Mhm.
My honorable mention, I had Iron Man 2. It was close because we saw the hammer. Like, first sighting of Thor. We had Cap, Bruce, and Tony already, a bunch of Americans, humans living on Earth. But Thor was the first branch into a larger universe outside of Earth. And just seeing that hammer, I was like, oh my God, this is all really happening. Like, it was wild. Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty cool moment. All right, heading into our next topic. I don't have a clever name for this or anything. So, just ease your expectations there. We will be going into top 3 action sequences in fandom. Now, this category could get messy because action scenes is a pretty vague term, right? We got close combat, we got one-on-ones, we got full-out military battles, fire. Why can't I think of the firefights, dog fights in the sky? I mean, there's so many different type of action sequences. So down the line, maybe we'll specify more. We'll do lists, maybe best one-man army, best one-on-ones, whatever. But for now, this is just anything action sequences, your favorite top 3 action sequences that come to mind when you think of fandom, movies or television, anything on screen. So I don't remember who I started off with last, so we're going to go with JD. Why don't you kick us off here? We got our top 3 favorite action scenes.
All right. I'm going to go with the end battle of the first Avengers movie. Because
Number 3?
The first Avengers movie.
No, I mean like your third favorite or first favorite? Sorry.
I don't know yet, dude. It keeps switching.
Okay.
It literally keeps switching. I'm starting to justify other things. We'll see. Anyway, that fight was incredible, right? You had each member of the Avengers shine for plenty of screen time. I mean, you take maybe not Natasha, but like, what are you gonna do? But even Clint had a lot of cool shooting going up on the ceiling. The Hulk showed up like really well. Some of the best Iron Man action. Everybody had their moment, and it was like 45 minutes of just badass action that didn't feel too messy, because that's how I compare it to the Endgame end battle. It was just like too all over the place, not enough time for individual characters to shine, just like too much. Even though like the opening to that war with coming through the circles, everybody like that's probably one of the most epic moments in the MCU, but that's not what this list is. So
right.
Yeah, the Avengers 1 is like, it was just clean. It was really clean, not messy. Plenty of army fodder for them to take down in their cool, unique ways as a hero. So, and then I got the battle at Helm's Deep.
Ooh, baby, son of a bitch.
So sick, because we'll get into that with the movies later, but that war was just so satisfying in every war kind of way possible. And when we're that young too, whatever age we were seeing that, it was brutal. Like, that's what we look at. It's probably Game of Thrones to us now. I mean, that was intense. And just everything, the lead up to it with like the banter between Gimli and Legolas, and then all the arrows, everything about it, Aragorn being a badass, the whole stomping off horses down out through the entrance, and then Gandalf coming to save him. So
dope.
Helm's Deep.
Perfect.
And I was going to do Battle of the Bastards, but I'm going to go with, because I need to switch it up. Those are 2 wars, but the best action sequence, I'm going to actually go one-on-one for this one. It's my favorite hand-to-hand combat scene in the MCU, Winter Soldier and Captain America on the bridge. That was just like the best just hand-to-hand fighting that I've seen in the MCU. So good. Yeah. I wish they did more of that, but got to throw at least a little 1v1 fight in there.
Bro, honestly, I know a lot of people, since Shang-Chi has come out, they always refer to Buck and Cappies as one of the best hand-to-hand, but they, a lot of people say Shang-Chi now has the greatest hand-to-hand combat scenes in the MCU. I'm still rocking with my boys, Bucky and Tony. Shang-Chi's hand-to-hand combat's incredible. It's faster. There's more of it. I would rather rewatch the Bucky versus Cap scene over and over than any of the fight scenes from Shang-Chi, because that Winter Soldier scene is just freaking beautiful.
That's
man.
close for me.
It's beautiful. It's all practically shot. Like they did all that. It's so well choreographed. It's the emotion too. Like when the tension between Cap and Bucky while it's going, it's just one of the best scenes in the MCU.
You know, that movie, I had the other scene on there from the same movie, that boat scene with Captain America, I really wanted to put on there, because I don't know if you're going to have it on your list, but just if you're not, to talk about, okay, well, that was so sick, right? We talked about it. The way that he kicks people off the ship from like 10 yards back, showing how powerful he is as a super soldier. He shouldn't just hit him in the face like a normal human. Just like everything, the kicks, the shield, the blade to the hand before it hits the alarm, like the whole thing was just so sick.
Yeah, he straight up impaled that guy's hand. That was not very Cap. Like knife throw to the hand.
So whoever choreographed that action, I would love to have them on for another movie, because that movie was full of sick action scenes.
Yeah, that's a great one-man army scene. Just straight kicks. These guys are launching 30 feet back into the walls. Like, fulfilling. All right. Caleb, we are going to go to you. Top 3 favorite action scenes. Started off.
Well, I cheated. I have 4, but I'm not going to talk about mine. But my number 1 is Anakin versus Obi-Wan. So I'm not. You can check out our top 5 Star Wars action scenes. Then we do that. We just action scenes. Yeah. So number 1 is that. Number 3 is a little curveball, though. We're going to go with Dumbledore versus Voldemort, Order of the Phoenix.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. So it starts with this. Not bad, though, right? It starts with the standoff, and they start flexing against each other. There's like the fire versus the water. And then Dumbledore like picks him up in the ball of water and starts spinning him around. And then they go like head to head again, and Voldemort absorbs all the dark matter and then just like releases it all and explodes, and all the glass shatters around him. And then he like picks up all the glass shards and shoots them at Dumbledore and Harry. Just
It's
a crazy
be the most
scene.
Epic scene in the entire Harry Potter franchise.
It is.
That scene is so sick. I mean,
Yeah.
The VFX is incredible.
Mm-hmm. And then number 2 is Battle of the Bastards for me. I think it's just one of the most anxiety-inducing battles in Game of Thrones. Like, there's obviously so many iconic battles in that show. And I always forget about Sansa and Littlefinger and the Veil coming. Or I definitely forgot about them the first time, You think, Jon Snow's screwed. That he's outmanned at first, and then things are not going well. He almost dies multiple times. Poor little Rickon dies. Is it Rickon? Rickon, right?
Rickon. Learn how to run, bro. You're like 17.
Prometheus school of running away from things. And then my number 1 for this list, number 2 overall, is Cap, Tony, and Thor versus Thanos in Endgame.
Oh, that is good.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. And the fact that Thanos just can't hang with them, he starts kicking their ass 3-on-1 for a second until they really start using their teamwork together. And then, of course, Cap picks up Mjolnir and starts using the hammer shield combo. Thanos has no film on this. He has no idea what to do against it. And
it's like a rookie quarterback coming into the game. Exactly. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, right. That first game, he's always going to be good, and then the second game, it's going to be trash. So, and just to I didn't expect to see Thanos in that capacity in Endgame in the first place. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And just to give the 3 main heroes of these first 3 phases against Thanos, and this just a short 5-minute scene is all they needed, but told a perfect story.
Yeah.
That's what it did in the fight, in the scene. It told a story.
Yeah, great. I'm glad you specified that and didn't just say the end game battle, because I'm totally with JD on that. I was thinking about this whole list. There were a couple different things where I was going to put it on there, and then the more I thought, I'm like, it's one of the most epic moments in cinema history, but the action itself in that scene, other than that fight that you just described, so. You know, it's just kind of we're just kind of showing off our flashy suits for a lot of the scene. It was the iconic thing that happened to start it all, which really made that scene. So totally agree with you there. So speaking of that, I'll go to mine. Yeah, I started off with a Lord of the Rings scene. And after I started writing out why the Ride of the Rohirrim was one of the greatest cinematic moments of all time, I realized this may not be the greatest action scene ever. Although there is great action that follows up with it. I was like, I think it's just the greatest cinematic moment in movie history, in my opinion.
Ooh, that's a whole nother list.
That is a whole nother list.
Oh my
so
God.
we can get into that one later too, because that's very it all depends on how you feel, you know, your feelings. That makes you feel all deep and fuzzy inside. I don't know where I'm going with this. So let's just get back to the list. So the love letter to Ride of the Rohirrim will have to wait. But this list, we're going to start it off with something already said, which is the Battle of Helm's Deep. JD pretty much covered all of the great aspects of it. It's just nothing short of spectacular. It's one of the most epic scenes we had seen on the big screen when it came out. We got 10,000 Uruk-hai against, hundreds of men and elves. Aragorn returning to Helm's Deep to motivate everybody. The elves arriving, that first shot and the silence that followed when you're in the theater and that old man accidentally releases that arrow. And it's just like, oh my God, before all, shit hits the fan. It just never let up. We got so many iconic scenes in it, and it felt so real because of the freaking time they put into the scene. The Uruk-hai chants, 20,000 cricket fans recorded those Uruk-hai chants. Peter Jackson went to a cricket game, recorded it all. So those are, it's why it felt authentic. They had, I think, close to 1,000 extras dressed up in full Uruk-hai makeup, costume, everything. Like, they just went all out to make this feel real, and it came across that way. Peter Jackson just created a masterpiece of that scene. Another one I have, you guys have said already too, so I'll get out of the way. Battle of the Heroes, Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar, greatest sequence in all of Star Wars. I've talked about it enough over the last year we've had this podcast because it's came up multiple times. Everybody has seen it. But every time I watch that till I die, I will always watch that scene. And if I sneeze and miss 2 seconds, lucky me, I'm going to skip back 20 seconds just to get back the little lightsaber maneuver I missed in that 2 second sneeze. Like, I'm not missing a single second of this scene anytime I watch it. It's just incredible. It's Star Wars. And it's two of my favorite Star Wars characters going head to head and giving their best. So how can you not love that? And my last scene, got to go to one of my favorite characters, Batman versus Superman, the warehouse scene. Favorite scene by far to watch of Batman in any live action medium, in just savage ways that Batman takes care of these thugs. Each and every thug he takes down is super satisfying, and it's just a Batman fan's wet dream. Let's be real. We'll throw out the kill rule because, yeah, for sure, that guy's head splattered on the brick wall when he shot the grappling hook at him and launched it behind him. He's probably dead, but you know what? That scene was incredible, so get over it. So that'll top off mine.
Oh, that's a good list. Damn.
Me.
I didn't think of those couple.
Yeah. Well, I blew it, but I was going to play the transition, but that's fine. I was going to throw in Loot Train, too. That was my honorable mention.
Ooh.
The dragon scene from Game of Thrones Season 7 is the greatest dragon scene of all time. Incredible. It might be one of my favorite scenes of the entire series. All right. I jumped the gun on the transition. We're all just learning here. So we're rolling in to our second to last. No, my God. Okay. Top 5 movies in fandom. That'll be our next list.
Whoa.
All of fandom. Only movies.
This is a big one.
It is a big one. Who wants to start it off? I'll start the next one off.
Love.
Oh. Okay. So in this one, I tried to mix it up. I mean, it is my top 5, pretty sure. But I'm trying not to. I want to do, like 5 Marvel movies or 5 Star Wars movies. It wouldn't be 5 Star Wars movies because half of them suck.
I was gonna say,
what?
Who's the hell movies you putting on your list? Let's put on Solo.
At number 5, we have Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring, which is obviously from our episode. Check it out. My highest ranked Lord of the Rings movie, and it still is to this day. Then at number 4, we're going to have to go with The Dark Knight. Obviously, the best Batman movie out there. The Joker, Christian Bale at his peak, Christopher Nolan at his peak, all the everything in the universe
Just a bunch of
got
peaks.
together for that movie. Like it was meant to be.
Like the Rocky Mountains.
Bunch of peaks cutting it up.
And then when it comes to 3 and 2, this is where it would probably switch back and forth. And it is number 3 is Endgame, number 2 is Infinity War.
Mm.
My two top rated Marvel movies, spoiler alert. And number 1 is, you all know it, Revenge of the Sith.
Clones. Oh.
Episode 3. We all know. The best Star Wars movie of all time. And it's just a movie I've watched more than any other movie ever, like probably by a lot. I mean, I get Infinity War and Endgame are getting pretty close, but it's still Revenge of the Sith is the movie, and I love it every time. No critiques, nothing wrong with it at all. It's perfect.
Straight up. That's a strong list right there, Caleb. That is a strong list right there. But can it be topped? JD, what do you got?
All right, mine's similar. I got a couple of the same. I got my Lord of the Rings movie is Two Towers, so I'll start there. This is no specific order, but the Two Towers.
Ooh.
Never, ever been so immersed at the theater, than sitting there watching this movie. Actually, probably until the third one, like right before the ring gets destroyed. That's probably the most. Anyway, but it's crazy because of how it like ups the stakes so much. I didn't expect a giant war at the end of this movie. I was just excited to see like how Frodo and Sam are doing. Like how are they progressing? What is the Fellowship up to? Where are all these orcs? Like things are getting crazy, but then they topped it with a war like that. That was incredible. I had no idea the Lord of the Rings was going to go to that level of like action. Like that was a huge war, and it looked and felt so real. Yeah. And just the story itself, every year going to see Lord of the Rings, it's like the best theater experience. Each 3 of those movies are probably definitely 3 of the best, movie theater experiences. The story was so immersive. You really felt like you were in Middle Earth. The characters were so believable, and there was such a variety of interesting characters and powers and just this mystical land that sucks you in. So, But the Fellowship, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to appreciate the Fellowship, and it's creeping up on Two Towers as maybe the favorite.
I'm telling ya.
Nice.
It's getting, I don't know. But all right, so that's the Two Towers. Then let's go with Avengers 1. Now, this is probably up there in that conversation of best theater experiences ever. We've never seen this done before. Just seeing the little connections going from Thor and Captain America movies, Iron Man, Nick Fury, like was fun. And then you actually put it all together in the movie. And those character interactions were like some of the highlights of this movie for me. Just seeing some of the characters meet or talk, argue, fight, whatever, all that stuff. Then it tied to the Captain America movie with the Tesseract and the Thor movie with Loki as the main villain of this whole thing. And he comes in that movie like pretty intimidating, just coming in, transporting and killing all the SHIELD agents, taking the Tesseract. Like, good movie there. And then they nailed the Hulk. And you had some of the best Iron Man action. You had peak Iron Man because he didn't have a freaking damaged suit and a leaky spark tube, so he couldn't like put on the suit and fight the bad guy in the half of the movies. So you just get peak Iron Man, no problems there, and he's kicking ass. Has some of his best scenes. Has 2 of like the best Hulk scenes, like I said, and then like Thor versus Iron Man and other matchups. So satisfying. Never seen it done before. And that was quite an experience. And the satisfying end battle, of course, and Thanos teased at the end. Like every part of this movie was good for me. Avengers 1, and then I'll just throw out the Endgame movie because that's in the top 3 for sure. The way they concluded such a long story, 10 years in the making, coming off Infinity War, which is just epic, right? But I take Endgame over Infinity War, I think, because there's way more of a character-driven story, and Infinity War is like a 3-hour brawl, which is great for what it is. Like I love Infinity War, but Endgame just felt like there was a more of an emotional tie to these characters you've been with so long, and you're, finishing their story. And we had plenty of time with them. Really fun little time heist story, and an epic ending. Like coming through the circles to fight Thanos' war after Cap is standing there by himself about to fight this. I mean, that's one of the best scenes ever. Like, that might be the best scene for me in cinematic history. That was so cool. You know, on your left, everybody comes through. You see Spider-Man and the Guardians of the Galaxy. So Endgame, yeah.
That's why Endgame and Infinity War switch back and forth for me, just because of that the character development and just how you get to spend it's one last time with these characters you love so much.
Yeah,
true,
and it was done really well. Yeah, that's, and then I mean, cool little thing, like we said, the war is messy. There's overall the Avengers 1 war is better for me, blah blah blah. But there was a couple cool moments, like we got to see Spider-Man's insta-kill feature. That was so epic,
wild.
Even though it didn't last very long. I like when Black Panther's running the gauntlet, beating people up on his way. I mean, he had a good scene. Scarlet Witch had probably the coolest scene, I think, going one-on-one with Thanos, causing him to rain fire. So,
yeah,
but God,
it's close.
The handling of the Hulk really gets me, dude. Sometimes, like even when they're going
Professor
to war,
Hulk?
Dude.
Yeah,
I think one of the biggest missed opportunities that you don't even do just like a short skirmish rematch of Hulk and Thanos after Hulk got his ass whooped in Infinity War, and nothing came out of that. Like, the Hulk is an angry character. We want to see him smash and fight and cause trouble.
That's
like that,
true.
Dude. They really butchered the character, and that
Does
bugs
he even
me, but,
meet Thanos in Endgame?
No. Not only that,
once.
but does he even fight anybody in Endgame? Like, does
You
he
see
even
him
fight
throw,
Cole
like-
Obsidian or
What is he doing?
anybody?
No, like, no screen time for the Hulk in that war. You see him running behind the first wave of people. I'm like, that's the Hulk. He wouldn't be running behind. He'd probably jump all the way ahead of them in 2 steps.
I'm
Like,
not
this
even
is
thinking
just
about
not the
him.
Hulk.
Yeah.
But-
After he snaps, he's just barely in the rest of the movie. It's wild.
Yeah. Not enough to take away how amazing that movie was.
Yeah.
So,
That movie sucks.
Sidebar.
so there's Endgame. That's 3.
Yep.
And I got The Dark Knight. So
Yep.
such a large percentage of why I got The Dark Knight is because of Heath Ledger. By far the most captivating, mysterious, funny, scary. Like, he stole every single scene he was in. Just incredible. Then you got a really well-written story, too, with this Harvey Dent, who was damn near front and center for, like, the actual storyline itself. Harvey Dent was, like almost the main focal point. But all that stuff, the mob bosses, the DEA they're hiding money from, all that stuff was really cool storytelling as well. Got to bring that guy back from Tokyo because they got extradition over there. So Batman just has this sick scene where he's flying from skyscrapers and then takes this dude out with his sky hook, like in such a tactical Batman way. So it's just, that's just the best Batman movie ever, right? For sure. But top 5.
Yep. All right. What's the 5th? What do we got? Who's it going to be? Is it Thor: The Dark World? Quantumania?
I just realized I wrote 4 down. I got to pick one off the dome right now.
Oh,
Pressure's
no.
on. Written down.
Pressure's on.
Oh, in that case, I guess I would have to throw it in Infinity War.
There it is.
Yeah, that was such a good movie. I mean, the way they developed Thanos, incredible. Like, the best villain in the MCU to date. And they actually gave him the screen time and development that they kind of lacked with villains before.
Yeah.
Epic action. Like, it was a 3-hour brawl, like I said, and there was some of the coolest action. Seeing Doctor Strange and Iron Man together, fighting that first fight. Captain America saving Vision and Scarlet Witch in that subway station.
That was
so
dope.
sick.
One of my favorite
And of
parts of that
course-
whole movie.
Right? And the fallout of Thor's trauma from Ragnarok, which is like a light movie, but that's a pretty dark story for Thor in that movie. He lost his sister, lost his dad, has to fight his sister, has to kill his sister, loses Asgard. Like, he's not in a good spot. And the goofiness transitioned to Infinity War perfectly. He just went through so much, and that story keeps moving forward, and he does some badass shit at the end. So yeah, Infinity War, y'all know.
I like it. I think Infinity War deserves to be up there, so I'm glad you went with that. So that is gonna, we got a few that all of us have. So, I'm gonna start from first and go to last.
Wow.
Really, take all
Breaking
the
the rules.
drama out of it. So, top 5 movies in fandom. Number 1, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. If I can't use the whole trilogy as one movie, and I don't want to take up 3 spots, so I'm just going to use Return of the King as a proxy and make it number 1 because it's the best movie in the best trilogy of all time.
Would it be the top 3 spots?
All 3 of them?
Yeah.
If I'm going by rating, probably. All my ratings, I think, are the highest for the Lord of the Rings movies. It'd be close. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. But I've talked about this movie at length on our podcast, so go ahead and check out our Lord of the Rings Ultimate Study Guide, by the way, episode 14. Go ahead, check it out. It's pretty good. A couple hours. You'll be way smarter by the end of it. So I'll just say it's the best movie in the best movie trilogy of all time. Again, I'll say that again. Near flawless. Filming that trilogy consecutively might be the smartest directorial choice ever made in Hollywood. This movie is straight up iconic, and there's a reason it won 11 out of 11 Academy Awards in 2004. All I gotta say, no movie has ever done that before. So, number 1 movie in fandom, Return of the King. Number 2, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Another movie I have talked at length about, so I didn't even put notes on this one. You've heard me talk about this movie plenty. It's the best Star Wars movie out there. Number 3, Avengers Infinity War. Barely beats out Endgame because of the balls it took to have that ending. There's never been a movie that sent the crowd home like that. Well, Empire Strikes Back was close, but it wasn't as intense as this. I don't know how it was in the 80s for them. But ending the movie like that and just pure silence after all of our heroes or half of them have been killed is wild. And pair that with a lot of the first interactions between all these Avengers with Tony and the Guardians and Spider-Man and all that. It was kind of like the first Avengers movie, but with, more characters are now getting introduced. So I loved all of that. All the action was incredible. Some of the best VFX and action sequences I've ever seen. And it doesn't have the time travel kind of confusion that Endgame comes with. But I will agree with you guys. Yeah, character development and all that, Endgame's a more complete movie. But Infinity War is my 3.
Do you prefer the battle on Titan or the battle on Wakanda in Infinity War?
Titan.
Same.
Probably. Oh, yeah. Because of Doctor Strange and Thanos' face-off is incredible. That whole thing. There was a lot of stuff in Wakanda that was great, but the majority of it was, cannon fodder?
Messy.
It was just killing,
just
the
CGI army.
Yeah, CGI army. So there was some dopes. Obviously, Thor's entrance is incredible and is one of the best moments of the whole movie. But yeah, Titan just had so many dope face-offs between Titan or Thanos and different heroes. Like, that was just incredible.
I thought the Wakanda battle. Right? Yeah, when he gets stabbed. The Wakanda battle annoys me for a couple of reasons. One of those is everything Hulk did or Banner did in the Hulkbuster. Again, back to this issue was so annoying.
Yeah, I'm with you.
He got too much screen time talking, making jokes. Like, dude, it's fine. You're in the Hulkbuster. Just give us some action. I don't need to see him arguing with Hulk anymore. Like,
back to Hulk.
Bro,
Get over it, bro. Get over it.
He ruined Thor's entrance. One of the most iconic entrances ever. Oh, yeah. You guys are screwed now. And his floating CGI head and the massive Hulkbuster. I was like, what the hell was that, bro? Yeah. You just killed the vibe.
That's a great scene. What are you talking about?
God awful. Okay. My number 4 is The Dark Knight. Greatest movie ever to have Batman in it. We can get into greatest Batman movie ever. It's debatable, but Heath Ledger, iconic. It's just incredible. Dark Knight is one of the highest rating movies I have in all of my movie lists, but it doesn't quite top the other 3. Maybe because the other 3 have had long.
What's the greatest Batman movie ever?
Well, that's another discussion. But The Batman with Robert Pattinson is much more of a Batman himself movie than The Dark Knight is. But bro, we got Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer, arguably greatest director, arguably greatest composer, to do a Batman movie, with the Joker.
Crazy.
I said arguably. John Williams is arguably the best too. There's a few, but it's just wild just to think about that we actually got that. Like, if we were to get that news now, being as aware of everything as we are with superheroes, and we were to get the news that Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer were taking on a Star Wars film, or we're taking on anything like that, it would be mind blowing. So, that was wild. And then my number 5, psych. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, the greatest trilogy ever, gets 2 positions in the top 5. Partly because I couldn't decide between Endgame and another movie, but also because it started the greatest trilogy of all time and it had more heart and magic to the story than any movie I've ever seen in my life. The Two Towers is just a smidge below this. Also an extremely iconic movie, but and The Two Towers obviously has a better third act. But all in all, the way the Fellowship built this world for us and set up this epic tale was just a masterclass in filmmaking. So it can't not make the list. Lord of the $5. Lord of the Rings has to take up 2 out of the 5 spots for me.
Emotional.
Yeah, it is. It's getting me a little emotional. So had to do it. All right, let's get into our next list, which is going to be the top 5 Star Wars projects, page or screen. So it could be a comic book, a novel, a movie, a TV show, the holiday special, whatever you're feeling. I'm going to bust out my list real quick here because I haven't gone first in a while. And also because if I'm being fully honest, I did not finish this list when we were coming to the episode and I had to scramble to put together 2 things. It fell between the cracks, but I still back this list. I still feel good about this list. We got Revenge of the Sith, obviously. We got Rogue One. This is loosely in order.
Okay.
It's loosely in order. It's not cemented, but it's loosely in order. Revenge of the Sith, number 1. Rogue One, number 2, because of what in the hell Rogue One is incredible, and I never saw that movie coming. Like, had no idea what it was going to be about when it dropped, and it ended up being, oh my God, that's a little far. But it's just incredible. And the Vader scene at the end just ties the knot. Number 3, Empire Strikes Back, favorite movie of the original trilogy, and we got to give love to the original trilogy because it's the reason we're all here loving Star Wars, and that movie is great. Number 4, call it recency bias, we're going with Ahsoka. The Ahsoka series, seeing Ahsoka, seeing Anakin, seeing the Inquisitors facing off. We get the whole World Between Worlds live action Clone Wars episodes drawn, like setting up so much stuff for the future. It's just Mando, the first season really got me hyped, and it was the first time I felt like, ooh, Star Wars has a future. Like, this is on. Like, this is incredible. But Ahsoka, I don't know, man. It just tickled that funny bone for me. It just did it for me, man. So people are going to give me crap for that, I know. But number 4, Ahsoka. And number 5, we're going with the novel, Plagueis. Favorite Star Wars novel, the background that it sets up for one of the most iconic characters in Star Wars with Palpatine, with the hints of Darth Maul and everything else that's coming up, where we're seeing how Palpatine came to power, which is like Palpatine causes everything in the Star Wars universe as we know it, at least in the Skywalker era. It's just incredible. So if you're ever considering of getting into a Star Wars book, I'd for sure suggest Plagueis if you're familiar with Star Wars at all. So wanted to give love to the novels. That's my top 5. Jeremiah, would you like to share your list with the class?
All right. No particular order here. This is a weird one, and I'm going to start with The Force Awakens. And I know it's not the most popular. I know. But I'm pretty sure Force Awakens pushed me into the Star Wars fan I am today, and I hadn't really seen A New Hope more than maybe once before that, so I didn't really care or even understand the copy and paste. It just felt like a fresh new movie. But it was a while since the prequels, and the prequels were divisive, and it was a while to have this Star Wars movie announcement, and it felt so exciting to get a new modern Star Wars. They know what we didn't like about the prequels. They'll probably try something more, less goofy, maybe more like the OG stuff. So I felt like it was going to be good, and I absolutely loved it seeing it in theaters. So after that is when I really started reading books and rewatching all the other Star Wars and all that stuff. But I really liked Force Awakens. I didn't love the end fight, but it's not that big a deal.
Oh, really?
And yeah,
with
no, I didn't
Kylo,
like it that
Finn,
much
and
with yeah.
Okay.
I feel like he would have tore them apart, even though he was shot with Chewie's blaster. And,
right.
Of course, it was predictable. You figured Rey was going to use the Force at the end of that. But Kylo Ren, really cool villain, cool, weird, kind of quirky version of Vader. And the ties to Darth Vader, that's his motivations and, him talking to the mask. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
So Force
I like it. We got a little sequel love in the list. There we go.
Yeah.
Good.
I got none of it.
Then I'm gonna go with A New Hope. The first one, it's my favorite out of the OGs. Just such a good intro to all of these characters. Vader, Luke, even like C-3PO, R2-D2. Seeing how that all came together. Han Solo and Chewbacca. Tarkin, who freaking didn't make an appearance in other movies until recently, but had like this, fans love Tarkin from that one movie, and I loved his scenes in that movie. Blowing up planets, makes it real popular.
Oh, yeah.
Vader's intro was cool. He was really haunting and very like Vader-y. It gets a little
Very
messy at the end and pretty convenient to have that bullet. Like, well, it was in the 70s, dude. And it really, really feels like Star Wars. And I like rewatching that one. It does suffer from the 70s whole, goofiness or whatever you want to call it. But great story.
But
great
incredible.
Story.
They pulled that off during that time. Like,
right?
It's wild.
Then I got Rogue One. And again, coming off Force Awakens, I was hyped. And this was the next movie to come out. And it just nailed that street level, grittier stuff that I really did not expect. This wasn't super exciting coming out when I first heard about it, but then you hear it's tied to the Death Star and the plans there. But it's just such a cool little story there. And the Tarkin cameos were amazing. Obviously the scene at the end really just was like the best cherry on top of something that was already so good. But it not only was it the coolest Vader you've seen on scene, but the way it perfectly leads into A New Hope. Like the first scene in A New Hope is just like it's the next scene of Rogue One.
That was so cool.
So they nailed the whole thing. And I was talking about Catalyst. That made me like the movie more. Catalyst sets up the characters and story really well. So Orson Krennic and her dad, Galen Erso, like you're already super attached to their history and stuff. So just Rogue One was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Then Revenge of the Sith. The downfall of Anakin, one of the most consequential moments in cinema history, like up there with the Thanos snap, is Anakin turning into Vader. And the Republic becoming the Empire, which is another reason I love this movie. It's because you see, like I said, how the Republic gets turned into the Empire. You see Palpatine's whole plan that leads them into the state of the galaxy, in the OG trilogy. Like that's why there's an Empire. This is when it happened. It was like a nonstop action movie. It was really fast paced. I mean, it stops from the action, but the most action packed Star Wars movie for sure, probably. And of course, Anakin versus Obi-Wan, one of the best fights at the end of the movie. There's even Yoda versus Sidious. There's a lot of good stuff here. And then the Vader suit at the end, just so sick. And I wanted to put a novel in here so bad, but I actually threw in a comic, and that's going to be the Kieran Gillen Vader run.
JD hates books.
Over Charles Soule's run.
Okay.
I think the Gillen's run was a little more, like it had an extra level of depth to the story. Like Soule's is amazing. It's super fun. I love it, but it's, it's more of just an action-packed kind of adventure with a lot of great stuff. I do like that comic a lot, but the Gillen's does have an extra layer, like I said, and it really, really feels like OG Star Wars. Like it's just a perfect little episode in between A New Hope and Empire, and then I think it goes on after that, in between Empire and Return of the Jedi. But so it's like an episode from that OG trilogy era, except Vader's front and center. And then a lot of good Empire stuff and Emperor stuff. And the crossover Vader down was sick. So that's one of my favorite Star Wars projects for sure.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I kind of regret not putting a comic on there because both of those Darth Vader runs are some of my favorite pieces of Star Wars. Anything,
so good.
Any medium.
So good.
They're incredible. So fun to read.
Love reading.
No, you don't. For those of you back at home, Love doesn't know how to read, actually. Oh. Okay, Lub, let's get those reading skills in here. What do you got for your top 5 Star Wars, page or screen?
Page or screen. Number 5, we got Plagueis. The best book out there. Had to throw a book in, because I love books, like we just talked about. Like you said, and how it sets up Phantom Menace so much, too. Like, it's really a prequel to Phantom Menace, which is amazing. It should be canon. till further
Still
notice.
holding out.
Number 4, we got Mando. I'm picking Mando as a whole. 3 seasons. We got Grogu.
Cheater.
The development of... No, come on. Come on, it counts. Yeah, and just how it's really saved Star Wars in a way. Like, we were disappointed with everything else, but Mando, for the most part, season 3, not that great. But,
Yeah, but
I'm still looking forward to the future of the Mandoverse. Like, it hasn't killed it. It wasn't great, but it's still keeping things going. Number 3. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to your point, it brought the older generation back to Star Wars too.
It did.
Like my sister and her husband, they both watch Mando and love it, and they didn't really keep up with the prequels too much. But I know a lot of people in the older generation who was like, okay, maybe Disney Star Wars isn't all that bad when Mando came out. So
right. Yeah. And number 3, we got the Clone Wars. We're gonna really cheat. We're gonna take the entire Clone Wars series.
Oh, well, jeez. I didn't even think about that as an option.
Right? I mean,
no, it's a good pick. I would have put it on there.
Yeah, okay. Damn it. I mean, come on. It's the entire Clone Wars series. Good Lord.
Yeah, no, I would have put that on there.
All the arcs and the development of the prequel characters, it really makes the prequels a whole nother story. And you can't like know Star Wars without really watching at least the main arcs of the Clone Wars.
I would take Ahsoka out and put the Clone Wars in if the list is still, I would make that substitution for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number 2 is Empire, of course, the best, my favorite movie of the original trilogy. And number 1, I mean, it was number 1 on my fandom list. It's going to be number 1 in Star Wars. It's Revenge of the Sith.
The math checks out there.
Yeah. I'm not that crazy.
All right, so yeah, we all pretty much but JD, I like it. JD came in with some curveballs there, some good ones too. The Darth Vader thing, but Force Awakens and New Hope both make an appearance. But yeah, I have to imagine that if I didn't rush the Star Wars list, I would have remembered to put Clone Wars on there. But that's a good call. You don't win them all. All right. Sound bites don't work, so we're skipping right through. We're getting to the last category of the night. It's here. It is the top 5 characters in fandom on screen. So we're not pulling stuff out of the books or comics. This is on screen. Strictly was on a television screen at one point, or a theater screen. This is going to be a fun one because I feel like we haven't touched on some of these ones here. So who just ended it? Caleb, you just ended it. You want to go ahead and start us off? Knock it out.
Let's do it. At number 5, we got Spider-Man. One of my favorite characters of all time. And just the identity, having to hide it, and Across the Spider-Verse was a really great representation of that, having to, hide it against his parents to save them, and then, balancing 2 different lives at the same time. And he has a great origin story, probably pretty up there, with Uncle Ben, and then the spider bites him. But it works, and it's perfect. And I love the majority of his movies and the animated show as a child. So he's been there for a while for me.
It's a good pick.
And then at number 4, I'm cheating. And I'm cheating again. And I'm taking the Lannister brothers, which would be Jaime and Tyrion.
Oh,
so come on.
God. You can cheat with that one. I don't.
So if you don't like the list, you can make your own. Right? But I mean, come on. Season 2, Tyrion is peak. He's the unsung hero of the Battle of the Blackwater. And then his speech later in the show when he's on trial for Joffrey's death, when he says, watching your vicious bastard die gave me more joy than 1,000 lying whores. And just taking season 8 out of it, and I know it's on screen only, but when I watch the show, the books do kind of mix in a little bit, so it does kind of go hand in hand for me.
Oh, so you're bringing stuff from the page onto our on-screen category is what you're saying.
No.
So we're cheating in multiple ways. Yeah.
Just no care.
And then, well, and Jamie as well. So just as a character arc, he has one of the greatest.
That
From
gets
someone,
ruined, but yeah.
but leaving season. Well, okay, well, him dying with Cersei honestly isn't an issue for me. I feel like that's kind of the tragic character he was, but they
Yeah,
just rushed
you're right.
it to where he's with Brienne one night and then the next night he's dying with Cersei. It's just it's rushed, but
Yeah.
where you hate him in season 1, he pushes Bran out of a window. He's a total bastard. He's trying to fight Ned. He does fight Ned. He gets him screwed over, put him in jail, cuts his leg, and then gets his hand cut off. And by the end of the show, you're just you love this guy and you're rooting for him. And so yeah, just one of the best characters. And then number 3 is the Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader, Batman. An origin story similar to Spider-Man, and he also hides his identity, but he's not superpowered. But he really struggles with that loss and a dark side, but never really breaks. And I mean, Batman's just the GOAT. You have to have Batman on your top 5, right?
He is the GOAT. That's true. Okay.
And then at number 2, we have Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen.
Yeah.
The first of her name.
Was waiting
Queen
for that
of the
one.
Andals and the First Men. Protector of the 7 Kingdoms. The Mother of the Dragons. The Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea. The Unburnt. The Breaker of Chains.
Oh, brother.
I mean, what a story, though. Like, taking season out of it again. And it's still this tragic character that we saw coming, like, obviously, like, with Jaime. Like, I could see her ending, and I'm okay with it, but just it wasn't executed well. So I'll just take the first 6.5 seasons. But, it's coming from nothing, having to take refuge on the other side of the world and build this army, get this power to take back what's yours on the other side of the world. And she does pull it off. Like, after everything she goes through, the ups, the downs, the dragons, losing them, getting them back, and her husband dying, and brother dying, it's a lot. So, and I mean, talk about falling in love with the character too, not just because she's beautiful, just who she is as a person.
She kind of killed her brother. I don't know if that was a loss for her. Felt like a gain. But...
No, yeah, but he was still gone. I mean, she didn't. She loses him, but she wishes he didn't turn into that person.
Not a scumbag.
Yeah, she wishes he was the person he was before.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. All right. What's your top spot here? Who's it gonna be?
Who is it gonna be? Let's think here. Who could it be? No other than the chosen one, Anakin Skywalker.
Oh shoot, that's John Cena.
I mean,
kind of saw that one coming. Not gonna lie.
I mean, if it's the award show, the Star Wars has been taking a lot of top 1 spots. In the last couple of categories, at least.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I wasn't. No, that makes sense. You wouldn't put Daenerys number 1, but I knew Daenerys was coming. I didn't know when, but I didn't see the Lannisters coming there. Baby. JD, let's go to your list.
All right. Well, again, no particular order. I got Anakin / Vader also. I think it's one of the best stories, like the best character story in cinema or like in fiction. Just Anakin's growth from the Jedi, turning bad, along with the Empire. Seeing that being pulled from so many beliefs or whatever, and then Palpatine. It's so sad to see him fall, but you're so happy to see him rise as Vader. But the story carries through like 6 movies, and it's pretty incredible. So, and the recent inclusions with him in Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, like the legend continues to grow, dude.
Yeah,
so,
keeps building. And according to that one random rumor, there's a Darth Vader series coming out in 2024.
That's not real.
And number 2, I got RDJ's Iron Man. Just so captivating on screen, so charismatic, so like he's funny, and he's kind of badass when he has to be, but he's just super entertaining. Like such a good actor. and really carried that whole MCU franchise from day one all the way until Endgame in an incredible way. Seeing his growth from selfish to caring about people to ultimately sacrificing himself, losing his wife and daughter to save the planet, whether maybe Captain Marvel could have flown up and done that or not, who knows? But he did it. It's the ultimate sacrifice. All right, so RDJ's Iron Man. Then I got Heath Ledger's Joker. Again, as I said, why I like The Dark Knight so much. You know, I'm not going to repeat it. Y'all know Heath Ledger's Joker. Definitely a favorite. And I actually had Tyrion on my OLIs, by the way. But I had to give it to Chris Evans' Captain America. A character that should have been boring. I didn't think I would like. His first movie wasn't great, so I was like, ugh. But after that, he became such an incredible part of the MCU, perfectly contrasting Tony Stark, and he acted it just so well. Like, again, should have been a boring character, but like everything he said on screen was cool, and it wasn't as campy as you think they might have made it, like kind of forced it. It ended up working. Like, he was serious. He stood his ground where he needed to. You know, the whole Civil War thing going on. When this is like Captain America going against the government, you would think Captain America would be the one who follows the rules, a good boy. But he totally is not that. He embodies freedom. Like, that's what America was when he was, you know, a kid before he got frozen. So it's like, well, you know, he embodies an actual, you know, what America should be. But he played it so well and perfectly against or with Tony Stark, carrying the franchise. It was on their two backs with some Chris Hemsworth in there too, I guess. But I mean, incredible.
Dude.
But Tyrion, dude, Tyrion is so funny. I love Tyrion. He's like always telling the right people, like the right things. Like the people you hate, he just tells them off in the funniest ways, and he's just hella smart and crafty and all that. Tyrion's a great character.
Just so charismatic. Well, I think you only gave us 4 there, so Tyrion would be 5, unless I missed one. You got
Vader,
Anakin,
RDJ, Ledger,
Captain America,
that's
and
my
then
5
Tyrion.
then. Dope.
Boom. There you go. He squeezed
There's
in.
your 5 then.
He fit his tiny ass in there. Well, there you
Yes,
go.
I would like his story didn't end up all that great, right? We all agree on that.
Right.
Like, he was so good in the first few seasons. Like, he made a difference for our antagonists or protagonists, like with his smarts and his genius, which was just absent when he met Daenerys. Like, he didn't do anything tactical anymore, which, like, all the great things that made him kind of went away. So that kind of sucked. But
straight up,
first handful of seasons, he was the best, right?
Yep. Dude, so I almost, because we've got some repeats for sure on my list, but I'm not going to change it. But I almost do want to change it to get a little bit more fresh faces in there. But I guess I'll just say my OLI at the end. But my number 1 spot, and frankly, a little disappointed in you guys for not having him on the list. It's fine. We're going to get through this. But my number 1 is going to be
Aragorn,
son of Arathorn, Strider,
almost.
the rightful king of the West, the heir to Isildur, the wielder of the flame of the West. Come on, man. Viggo Mortensen, Aragorn. I mean, oh my God. That was the first character that I ever like saw in a movie and was like, that's my hero. Like, yep, want to be him. Right. Sign me up. I would like to be him. I was obsessed with him growing up. Like, and you know how I know he's still my number 1? I'm still obsessed with him. Like, whenever I'm watching The Lord of the Rings and I see Viggo Mortensen come on screen, I feel like a little kid again, just watching my icon playing out the dopest movie in the world. Like, just get to watch him, you know, do whatever he does, breaking his toe on a helmet, screaming out in agony. It's just prime time every time he's on screen.
You have to say that every time you watch the movie.
Well,
right?
it's a rule, yeah. So I had to say it on this part of the list too. Hands are tied. But his story is honestly one of the coolest, man. He's the heir to Isildur. He's raised with the elves in Rivendell and basically learns all of their skills, but has the Numenor blood in him as well. He becomes a Dunedain Ranger, which is an incredibly rare and just absolute badass figure in Middle-earth. And then he comes back, joins the Fellowship, pretty much leads them, gets them where they need to go, reforges Isildur's blade, takes out the mouth of Sauron, leads them to the Black Gates, leads an army of the dead to take over the Minas Tirith, the battle for Middle-earth. Like, the guy did so many incredibly all that guy does is iconic things. And Viggo Mortensen was the only one to play him. So that's my number one. Freaking love that guy. Number two, a little bit more boring, Anakin Skywalker.
Boring.
I think. Well, I just mean because he's on all of our lists,
Right.
right at the top, pretty much. But I agree with everything you guys said. I think it might be the greatest story in fiction history. Like, for a fictional character, he might have the greatest story. Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader. I won't get any more into it other than the fact that when you live two different lives and both are just as iconic as the other one, it's just pretty incredible. Like, he was a badass good guy and a badass bad guy. So he's at the top. Number three, favorite comic book character, Batman/Bruce Wayne. I've talked enough about him, but he's a badass, like Lub and JD both said. Number four is Spider-Man, Peter Parker, second favorite comic book character. And I've talked about him at length as well, but the badass Spider-Man abilities to where he just holds back his power because he would just kill people if he actually unleashed his full power onto people. And his whole character background too. And he's just this smart ass, talks trash kid, but he's just completely pure at heart. Just like Aragorn. I forgot to mention that too. He's got like one of the most pure hearts in all of fiction too. Like, you just can't help but love the guy and respect him. So same goes for Peter Parker. And my number five, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Because Anakin gets all the love as the best Star Wars character. And I totally get it. But in comparison, Obi-Wan's story is slightly more boring. But he may be the greatest Jedi to ever exist, in my opinion. The amount of times and ways he overcame the dark side and rose up to help save the galaxy, and the amount of people that he helped and mentored to be incredibly great people, all the way till his dying move where he straight up sacrifices himself again to save the galaxy and progress Luke's story. His arc with Darth Maul, his relationship with Satine that added to his story even more in the Clone Wars. Like, we got his character even fleshed out in the Clone Wars. Sarcastic sense of humor, again, that's my jam right there. So anybody who's got that type of attitude and sarcasm, I'm fully on board with. And he'd be worthy of Mjolnir because he's, again, that pure of a dude. And casting once again helps because Ewan McGregor is just like straight up just dopamine every time you see that dude on screen as Obi-Wan. So yeah, brings a smile to my face every time. So he had to be on the list. I feel like he's never called the favorite Star Wars character out there, and Obi-Wan deserves some love.
He's got good numbers too. He killed Maul twice and Anakin.
Yeah, took out Anakin in his prime. Did some other stuff too, but yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So
Definitely better than that guy Yoda.
That guy's a hack. That guy's a straight
more
overrated hack. He got complacent, sat on his seat for 700 years
because he had a max contract.
He's called a stat patter. That's what they call that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get him out of here. Anyways, enough of the random Yoda rant for some reason. I think that's the last of our lists here tonight. Do you guys have anything else to say? Any parting words? Any hopes and dreams and goals of our podcast as we continue into our next 100 episodes?
Bigger than Oprah.
Ooh, okay. I was hoping a little bit more ambitious, but that's fine. We can start with that.
That's ambitious. What's more ambitious than bigger than Oprah?
I just want them to give us tickets to go see movies like a month early and then do a
That would
review.
be cool.
I got that Flash one, and then they never came in again. I don't know what the deal with that one was, but
you start tagging HBO.
We'll start filing applications. Don't you worry. But yeah, well, maybe down the road we'll be at a Comic-Con, something like that. We'll cover in. We'll just
May the 4th.
May the 4th stuff. Yeah, we'll just continue having fun, man. We're just gonna keep doing this as long as we're enjoying it, and as long as you enjoy listening to it. So. It's pretty wild. We already made it past the year marker, which is pretty crazy to think about when we started up this whole thing. So yeah, I think it's been a fun ride. I got no regrets. What about you guys?
Love
tons
it.
Tons of regrets.
Okay. Beautiful.
No.
Well, I think that'll wrap it up here. for our very special 100th episode. Thank you very much for joining us. If you've been following along with us since we started at episode number 1, thank you. Shout out to you. You're the reason we do it. You're our lifeblood here. So we know Cody Schneider's been out there since day 1. So we're gonna throw him out, give him a shout out, because that man is active and is always in the messages and whatnot. And for the rest of you listeners, you can strive to be like Cody, and we'll call you out next time. So as always, thank you for joining me here tonight. Coming up with a blank. I'm looking at this lightsaber Love brought home from Disneyland. It's got this purple kyber crystal. It's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, but thank you for joining us. It is dangerous. Maybe we'll give it to you in a giveaway if you give us a question. Listen to next episode. First 10 listeners get Love's lightsaber. But really, thank you for joining us. Another episode of whysosidious Nerd Podcast, and we'll see you next time
for episode 200.
Thank you. You saved that awful ending. You'd think I'd be better by now.